Good morning, class.
Good morning.
This is lesson number 7. Today is July the 14th, the year of 2024, and the topic is Esther's bold faith. Today's aim is to show that Esther was prepared to die if need be to save the Jews from destruction. The principle is to teach that Christians must be prepared to live for God even at the cost of extreme consequences. And the application is to urge students to boldly and consistently choose God's way rather than the way of the world. Esther. We talked about a lot of women in our Sunday school lessons. Talked about Deborah, Ruth, Hannah last week, and now we're talking of Esther.
Yeah.
Now, reading through Esther, you don't really see much of what she did as, a physical aspect of if she was out there fighting or stuff like that. You don't see things like that in Esther. But what you see about Esther is spiritually.
Right.
Who is she spiritually? That's what we see about Esther. Where's her faith when it comes to God? So this is who Esther is. This lesson starts in chapter 3, verse 2. I've always been telling you to go back and read. If you're going to start that far up into the lesson, at least go back a chapter, at least, or a few verses, at least go back so you can find. You don't just start at verse 2. You don't. What happened in verse 1? It ain't but one verse. You don't read that. Find out what's going on. Yeah, and when you read verse 1, and you find that a man named Haman was promoted. So who is Haman? I know we're going to be reading about Haman, but why was he promoted? So there were certain things that happened before Haman was promoted. So just a brief background of what's taking place. We're going to go back as far as Vashti.
Yeah, Vashti.
We'll go back to Vashti. Okay. Who all know who Vashti is? No one? Nobody knows who Vashti is. Okay, so Vashti was the queen.
Yeah.
Vashti was the queen. Queen Vashti. So what happened was that the king got kind of drunk. He had a good old time, was eating and drinking, having a good time. And, in his ways, in his feelings, after he done got good and drunk, now he was kind of proud of himself and the wife that he had, his queen. So after he was good and drunk, he summoned the queen. He wanted the queen to come and stand by him and let the whole world see how beautiful she really was. Okay, so like most of modern women these days, most of these women would have been put out a long time ago because you're not listening to nothing that man got to say. He told me what to do. You can't tell me what to do, okay? That's how most of these women are these days, You can't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy, all right? So, in other words, the king summoned her, wanted her to come, but she refused. She disobeyed the king's orders. I ain't going, okay? So she didn't show up. And, his pride is what really took effect. Right. So it was more like if we let her get away with it, then all the women would think that they can talk to their men however they want to talk to them. They ain't got to listen to them. And the way he felt was the man rules the house. That's how he felt.
Yeah.
The way God stated it was man is the head of the house. But the way he said it was the man is the ruler of the house, and that's a big difference there. So he was looking at more of what I say, go. If I say it, you're supposed to do it. That's how he was looking at it. And most men today think about things like that, but I'm not one of them. I don't believe in a man telling a woman what to do. I do, however, believes that the man is the head. So anything that goes down up in that household or in that family, the man is supposed to have knowledge of it. Yeah. I do believe in that, and the man does have a say-so. That has to go upon agreements. But when it comes to this, he felt like if the man couldn't rule and couldn't tell his woman what to do, then all women was going to act this way. So he had to make an example, had to set an example. So he got rid of Vashti because she wouldn't obey his command.
That's right.
So he got rid of her. And he was in search of a new queen. Now, what ended up happening here was, now this was just her being in the right place at the right time. She wasn't even there to look at towards being the next queen. But Mordecai was there because he had dealings with Haman. Mordecai wanted to talk to Haman about certain things that was going on between them. So while he was there, and the king was looking for a new queen, he spotted her out. And he was like, well, I like what I see, so go ahead and take her on too. So it was a bunch of women that was being ruled out. And when it boils down to it, he saw everything that he liked in this young lady, and she won favor of him. So then he took her through this 12-month long ritual where she had to, get dressed up and fixed up and put makeup and lipstick and all this stuff. It's a ritual that they had to go through. And it took 12 months to do it. So Mordecai brought this young lady named Hadassah to this place. And Hadassah is the one that actually became the queen. Okay. So Hadassah became the new queen. Now, however, when it comes to the king and queen, they can live together and never see each other. Because the king just felt like he just needed a queen by his side because he's the king. He got to have a queen. So they don't always be together. He don't always see them. Matter of fact, the king has a lot of concubines. The king will be sitting with a whole bunch of other women and never even touch the queen.
Yeah, right.
And as you will read, if you were to read through the lessons, you'll find that, actually it would be in this lesson, you'll find that it's been 30 days since the king even asked to speak to her. So she hadn't seen the king in 30 days. Yeah. But Hadassah is, the new queen here. And what's really important in starting this lesson is understanding the first verse. That one verse that they tried to persuade you not to read by starting at verse 2. That one verse, it will place you in the right mindset when going through this lesson. Right. So I'm going to read this first verse, and I'm going to let you see what this first verse actually says. It says, if I can get my screen to go through right, there we go. It says, after these things did King Ahasuerus, or Xerxes, after these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Okay, so now that first verse sets the stage. It lets you know exactly what's going on here in this first verse. How is Haman so important in this lesson? Can anybody answer that question? How is Haman so important in this lesson? No one? Y'all want me to ask the question and answer them too? Okay, I got you. I think we can do that. All right. So Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. Okay. Now, if we was to go back to 1 Kings, I know we'll be all over the place. So if we was to go back to 1 Kings, you'll find that there was a king named King Saul,
Right.
whom Samuel ordained as king. So King Saul was given certain instructions. And these instructions were to kill all the Amalekites.
Yeah.
But see, what King Saul did was he went and he killed some
Sure did.
of the Amalekites. And see, when God says kill all, he meant kill all the Amalekites, kill all the livestock, kill all the animals, kill everything.
That's right.
Nothing was to survive. But see, what happened was King Saul killed some, and you would notice that some got away.
Right.
Some were killed, and then he took took into custody. You know who this king name was? King Agag.
Yeah.
He took King Agag into custody, and Samuel got mad. Samuel got upset. So God was speaking to Samuel about certain things that needed to happen and to tell Saul. And, so after Samuel was talking to Saul, he was like, you know what, go and get King Agag, because you didn't do what God asked. God told you to kill them all, and you refused to do that. You disobeyed God. Disobedience, like I said, disobedience plays a big role. Right. So he disobeyed God. And Samuel actually was the one that killed Agag, but King Agag is the one who is responsible for the Agagites. Agag, all the Agagites is King Agag's descendants. So those of his people that got away. And this here happened, this was at least about 500 years later. So his descendants is Haman. Haman is one of those that Saul was supposed to have killed his descendants over 500 years ago. But Saul disobeyed God and left them where he was. See, the reason why God told them to take out all of the Amalekites is because the Amalekites was going to be the ones to destroy the Jews. They wanted to destroy the Jews.
Yeah.
So now here it is 500 years later, because of one person being disobedient and didn't do as God told, leads us to this point here. So now we got Haman again going back towards the Jews. One thing that God wanted to take out of play in the first place. And see, here we go, starting out with Haman in charge. And good morning. And we know that all of these high positions, they were given and authorized and approved by God. So when you know that this position that Haman got, the position was approved and authorized by God. Why was it approved and authorized by God? If you ask me, it's just like us as being parents. Sometimes us parents, we as parents, we can be a bit petty. We can act a bit petty. We tell our children that they're supposed to do certain things, and when they don't do certain things, the end results, we got a knack of dangling in their face. You see what happened because you didn't do what I told you to do? We got a knack for doing stuff like that. So this is what happened because Saul didn't do what God asked him to do. Here it is, Haman, an Agagite, when the Agagites were supposed to be killed a long time ago. So here we go right here, Haman, an Agagite. And once again, against the Jews. The one thing that God wanted to stop in the first place.
Right.
Says, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gates bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king has so commanded concerning him, but Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Okay, Mordecai did not bow. Who is Mordecai? Who is Mordecai? Y'all know I just said it. Now I just said it. All right, Mordecai is the man that bought Hadassah to become the new queen. Okay, well, he didn't bring her to become queen. She ended up becoming queen in the result of, So, like I've been talking to y'all last week about the process. Yeah, it's well, her cousin. It's her cousin, which is a much older cousin, and because he's much older, he was considered of as being uncle. Right. So this thing here it's more like how I've been talking. The process and the results. Okay, so the end results was Hadassah was going to be the queen. That was the end result. Now, she was in the right place at the right time, but she wasn't brought there to be the queen. She was brought there to this area because there was something that Mordecai had to discuss with them. And because this was during the time that the king was looking for a new queen, she was there and he saw and he liked what he saw and says, okay, bring her in. So she became in the mix. Now, Mordecai actually in this area here, see, Mordecai technically should not have been inside the gates. Okay, now the reason that Mordecai is now inside the gates is the reason why we should read ahead. Is because what happened is there was two of the king's chamberlain that was plotting to kill the king. And Mordecai overheard this. And because Hadassah was in place as queen, he told Hadassah, and Hadassah told the king in Mordecai's name. So then Mordecai actually became favored through the king, right, in that manner. But see, still the fact is that Mordecai is still a Jew. All right, so we got to understand that fact. Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reference. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandments? Anybody know what he said? This verse, it's the next verse, which is verse 4. Anybody know what he said? I know it's not in this lesson because they skipped verse 4. All right, so he says,
he only bowed down to God.
Yeah, he did. He says, I'm a Jew. You know, and if you go back to Exodus, you'll find that God says, bow to no other God because I'm a jealous God. Right. You know, so him remembering all the things that God said, you know, he's like, you know what, I'm a Jew. I bow before no one other than God. Right. You know, so his reasoning for not bowing was because he's a Jew. Now, let's lay things the way it should be laid in our terms. You know, we're a human being living on this earth. So let's lay things based on our terms. Now, Mordecai was in the king's palace. He was in the king's place. Now, let's put it like this. Mordecai was in the king's house. Okay? So Mordecai was a guest in the king's house. Did Mordecai have the right not to bow to the king? He's in the king's house. So if you're in my house, whatever my rules are, you have to obey. If you don't obey my rules, then you got to go. You know, so being that Mordecai was in this man's place, you know, Mordecai should have bowed and gave reference and respect to this man, but Mordecai was leaning on his beliefs. You know, some things, let's just say, some problems we get in shouldn't really be our problem. You know, sometimes we get in situations because of our ego. You know, and Mordecai could have referenced the king, you know, but he did. All right. So let's just say Mordecai was doing the right thing per what's going on now. Mordecai was doing right based on the scriptures. And remember what I said, all things is a process. Yeah. Okay, so this was part of the process that had to go on in order for the end results to come. So Mordecai disobeyed the bowing. And it says, and when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reference, then was Haman full of wrath. So, like I said, we skip verse 4. Now, out of all these people in there, how did Haman notice one person not bowing? All these people. This place is crowded, okay? It's real crowded. Okay, so out of all these people, how did Haman notice one person not bowing?
He didn't like him on top of that. Couldn't stand him.
Okay. Let me help y'all out real quick. Verse 4. Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not. Okay, I done lost my spot. Okay, verse 4. All right, and he hearkened not unto them that they told Haman. The people told Haman that one person did not bow. What business was it of theirs? Some people just can't mind their business. Y'all know that. That's why you always need to mind what you do whenever you go out in the public, because I don't care how you may feel, you know, somebody's always watching. So if you're saying that you are a man or a woman of God and you go out there in the street and you start cussing and doing all these other things that just Christians just don't do, somebody is watching you, okay? Somebody noticed that you have done something that you say that you don't do. So all of these people here, now Mordecai not bound should not have been a big problem. But somebody went and told Haman that Mordecai did not bow when the king walked past. Mordecai didn't pay that Haman didn't pay that no attention. Mordecai didn't think it was a big deal because everybody in there knew that Mordecai was a Jew, and this bowing did not resonate to him, so it shouldn't have been no problem. But see, Haman, like I said, Haman was just promoted to this position. So being that Haman was just promoted to this position, and this position was given to Haman based on what Mordecai did now. Mordecai is the reason that Haman was promoted to this position. But see, Haman looked at the fact that he's bold and proud. So now Haman is more like, you know what? I only bow to the king. So anybody else needs to respect me and the king, because nobody else is more powerful than him but the king. So Haman is putting his power into effect here. So now Haman is getting upset. Haman is mad. He's angry because one man decided not to bow. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai. He wanted to deal with this.
Oh, yeah.
But see, there was a problem. There wasn't but one man that was an issue. That was the only problem. There was one man that was a problem. And see, the king was not going to approve Haman to just go and kill one man because one man refused to bow. So he had a problem. So just like most of us, well, I hope I'm not talking about most of us. Okay, just like most people that we know of these days, they go to a certain church, and somebody within that church treated them bad. And the one thing that they will walk out and say is, Christians are terrible. Christians don't have no regard for other people. I'm never going back to church again because Christian folks are fake based on what one person did. So, because Mordecai didn't bow, Haman went to the king and says, there are certain people out there, these Jews, that just refuse to bow for us. All of them out there is doing this. And in fact, it wasn't but one. There wasn't but one that disobeyed this law. But in order to back him up, he had to state it and make it look like it was a whole bunch of them that was against him. So the king sat down and he approved this. The king approved this based on what Haman said. You know, so Haman actually, he got the decree written up, you know, to kill all those Jews, Mordecai and everybody with him. He got that decree written. And Haman says, you know what, to anybody who kills him, I'm going to give 10,000 talents to him. Now, 10,000 talents today that's a lot of money. That's like $5 billion. That's a lot of money. I mean, all of us can sit straight on $5 billion. And us and our whole family and those to come, we'll be straight. But he wanted to give 10,000 talents to the man that actually takes on this responsibility.
Yeah.
But see, Mordecai, he got sad. When he heard about what was going on, Mordecai started crying. He took off the nice clothes that he was able to wear on this side of these gates. He took those cloaks off and he put on the sackcloth. With the sackcloth, he already knew that wearing those, he couldn't go on the other side of the gates because only certain people was allowed on that side. So now that he got on the sackcloth, he's not going over there, but he's sad because he know what is about to happen. He know that there was a decree that was just written to kill him and everybody that's with him. all the Jews. So now the thing that he told Hadassah was, don't let anybody know that you are a Jew. You see, look, y'all notice I ain't saying Esther, right? Y'all got to pay us some attention. I ain't mentioned the name Esther. But see, he told Hadassah, he says, don't let anybody know that you're a Jew. Keep that secret. Why did he want her to keep that a secret? I don't know. Okay, because, look, he wanted to keep that a secret because if they knew that she was a Jew, she would not have even been the queen. That was a position that she needed to have. See, God had already placed that role there for her. That's why God went on ahead and put Haman in this position. Haman needed to be up here so that the process, remember, now there's a process to everything that we're going through. So all end results has a process. And see, we might not like the process, but we got to love the end results. Now, Haman is up here as the predecessor. So he's the king. Well, not the king, but he's right under the king. So he has seniority. So all these things that's going on now, we got Hadassah, who's the queen. And see, now Haman is trying to kill all the Jews, which is all of Hadassah's people. So don't y'all see something about to happen here, because once Hadassah and Haman get into mingling, and this is her people, something got to happen. Yeah. Something got to happen. So Mordecai told all the people that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasurer for the Jews to destroy them. So, like I said, he offered to give them 10,000 talents, or $5 billion, which it wasn't $5 billion then, but 10,000 talents. He offered to give whoever killed these Jews all of that money. So he went back crying, and he told everybody that, look, we about to die. This is what happening. Haman done said that he was going to give somebody this much of money to kill us all. We can't go back to the palace. If we do, we're surely going to die. And now he's threatened. He's afraid of Hadassah now. He don't want anything to happen to Hadassah, but he tells her, he says, you know what? Maybe you're in this position for just this reason. Maybe this is why you're here. Because remember, I told y'all that when he first got there, he wasn't even trying to get her up into this queen role. But it just happened. She happened to have been spotted by the king. He was just there. She was there with Mordecai, and he pulled her to the side and said, yeah, I want her too. So he said, you know what? Maybe you're here just for this reason. Maybe this is why you're here. So I know I told you that you got to keep you being a Jew a secret. But maybe this is the reason that you're here. So also he gave him a copy of the writing of the decree that was given to Shushan to destroy them, to shew it to Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king, to make supplication to him, and to make requests before him for her people. And Hadassah, however you want to say it, came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. So Mordecai told Hadassah all these things that was happening, and he relayed his message to Esther. And it's just a messaging factor going on right now. Him and Esther, back and forth, because first off, they sent word back to Esther that Mordecai was sad. Said something is wrong. So Esther wanted to know what was going on. So this is the word that came back. This is why he's so upset. And again Esther spake unto Hadassah, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called there, is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. So he they want Esther to go and talk to the king. But see, Esther right here is saying, the only people that can go and talk to the king is them that he summons. And if he don't stretch that golden scepter out towards you, you can't go talk to him. If you do, they're going to kill you. You'll be put to death just by doing that. And she says, look, and me, I know I'm the queen, but I ain't seen the king in over 30 days. No, the king hadn't wanted to talk to me in over 30 days. So, my chances of going just walking up to him right now, it'd be problems. He'll probably surely kill me because I'm in a place where I don't belong. This law applied to the queen. Remember I told you about Vashti? Right. Vashti is no longer the queen because she disobeyed the king. And the only thing he wanted her to do was just come so that the people can see how beautiful she is. Right. That was it. And she refused to do it. Now, like I said before, there's a lot of us women these days just wouldn't be the queen if this is how it had to happen. Because they ain't listening to no man. Ain't no man gonna tell me what to do. That's just how it go these days, So, but this is how it happened, and these men here, they were chauvinists, It was their way or no way. They was not going to stand behind a woman regardless, But it's a good thing that God is in charge of all of this, and it's not who's in charge.
Right.
We're all concerned and worried about this upcoming election. Why Donald Trump didn't get impeached in the first place, and they done dropped all the charges, so now he get to run for presidency again. Well, he was going to run anyway. Let's just get that all out. Everything, just like you see here, everything is God's plan.
Yeah.
We can argue and fuss about it all we want, but if Donald Trump become president, it's because God intended for him to be president.
That's it.
Again, ain't nothing we can do about it. The only thing that we can do is just like Esther did here, and put it all in God's hands. That's it. And they told everything Esther said to Mordecai. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the king for such a time as this? Like I said before, most of us need a person like Mordecai in our lives. I'm going to tell you now. Yeah, I know Mordecai, he was doing and saying some things that got them into this position in the first place. But see, when it came to this part here, Mordecai is more like, you know what? Whether you step forward now or not, God still got the last say. Amen. And whatever God says is going to happen regardless. It says now, whether you step forward or not, if you don't, then your father's house is going to be destroyed, and God still is going to get his way, whether it's now or later. It's funny how certain decisions and choices that we make today, and we think, you know what, it was my decision. I can do whatever it is I want to do because it's my life. I can run my life how I want to run my life. So if I decide not to do this, then I don't have to do it because this is my life. Well, the truth behind that is, it's not just your life. Because the decisions that you make today, it might not affect you, but it might affect your children. Amen. And their children and their children, based on that little crazy decision that you made today. And see, this is what's happening now based on that one decision that Saul made over 500 years ago is why we're at this place right now. Because Saul decided not to obey God. Saul decided to leave some people alive when God says destroy them all. We are in this place just because of one disobedience. So if all of this can happen just because one person decided not to do what they were told to do in the first place, how many lives has been affected by us by not making the right decision in our lifetime? And I can think of a lot of things that I've already done in the past that I'm sure my kids, if they hadn't already seen it, they will see it, or their children going to see it because of the decisions that I made And for every decision that you make, you do have a choice. But for every choice, there's consequences which you can't control. Those are the things that's out of your control. But see, he's telling Esther, he says, look, you just got to man up. I know what I told you. I know I said don't let anybody know that you're a Jew, but you got to man up. You got to step forward and do something, because it is your people that's about to get killed. And if they find out that these are your people, then you too will be killed, because somebody is going to let them know that you are a Jew.
Right.
Y'all know that's how it go. All of us can go up in the store. All of us can take something. All of everybody get away except one person. Guarantee one of y'all names gonna come up, because somebody gonna say, they was there too. He was with me too. Why y'all ain't do nothing to them? Somebody else's name is gonna come up. So all these people getting put to death, you mean to tell me none of them is gonna say that Esther is one of them and she's the queen? Go and ask Queen Esther. She's one of us. Somebody would have said that. Then Esther bade them to return Mordecai this answer. See, this part here, this is what makes Esther so great. This is what separates Esther from everybody else. She says, go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. And I also and my maidens will fast likewise. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. At this point, Esther says, we're just going to stop thinking about what we need to do, and we just put it all in God's hands.
That's right.
Says, but this is what we need to do. Everybody, just stop doing what they're doing. Stop thinking how you want to think right now. And everybody just fast and put your mind on God. That this is how this is going to work. We're going to all put our minds on God, because what it's going to take for me to make this happen, most people get killed to do. So if this is going to happen, if the Jews is going to survive, it's got to happen through her. And the only way it's going to happen through her is God have to be in the mix. God have to make sure that when she stepped forward, the king will answer her. Now, we're done with this lesson. I'm going to tell you, we're done with the lesson. But I did have a question, a real quick question here. Well, actually 2 quick questions. The first one is a real simple question, because I already gave y'all the answer. Who is Hadassah? Esther. See, I've been saying that name the whole first half. That's why I wasn't saying Esther. I kept repeating that name. So Hadassah is Esther, and Hadassah was the name that was given to her as a Jew. So that's why she used the name Esther. So she keeps that Jew a secret. Nobody knew that she was a Jew based on her name. Now, if she would have went in there with the name Hadassah, everybody would have known. All right, so now my second question. I know we ain't at it yet, but I'm going to ask it. After Haman is killed, who takes his place? Mordecai. And look, I'm going to tell y'all this. The only reason she know that is because she read it.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
I'm going to turn my lesson over to the superintendent.
Oh, no.